Hey everybody, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Claire Coyle, that's my name, and I'm a professionally trained amateur equestrian, and all that means is I go to pros to help me do better as an amateur. And this is my little friend. His name is Secret. He is a 10 years old this year, Appaloosa saddlebred, oopsie daisy. But fortunately, he came out as a very fancy oopsie daisy who moves beautifully and is very smart and has been an amazing partner for me. And the way that we came to be a partnership was I was riding at another barn and they closed down. And then my mother-in-law, Sherry, very cool, was like, well, this horse isn't trained. I won't be training him myself, so he could use a rider, so do whatever you want. And I was like, okay. So I took him on, and he's turned out to be one of the coolest little horses I have ever had the pleasure of riding. And the first horse I've really trained with any kind of knowledge, right? Like when I was a kid, I had Mo, who was an off-the-track thoroughbred, but I will say, what a lot of people take for granted is that off-the-track thoroughbreds have a lot of experience. Most of the time they load. If they've raced, they're used to traveling and performing, and all of that that takes some development, because I didn't realize how fortunate I had been with my off-the-track thoroughbred until I rode Secret, and I took him to his first horse show, and he literally screamed for 2 hours. He was so overwhelmed, and we didn't even ride. I just walked him around the grounds. So, yeah, I definitely had taken that for granted in the past. But since then, I've been riding him about 5 years now, and he has been a super little dude. Today, we are working on dressage, and I have been trying to implement what I learned from Judy Farnsworth. She taught me a dressage lesson, and it did a lot for us. And one of the big things was getting your horse into the outside rein and getting a little bit of a haunches out. They don't call it haunches out in dressage. I think it's shoulder fore or a shoulder in. But getting that around turns, so you get your horse really stepping up under themselves. And I think before, I had a bit of a habit of wanting to get a little more impulsion or forward motion, so I'd chase him a little bit, and then he'd kind of run away from me. So this is a little bit of a re-experimentation, re-education for myself. So I normally would be asking for a much more forward trot and a much more like a working trot, but when I took the lesson with Judy, I think it actually helped loosen him up better for me not to push him for speed necessarily, because he just kind of runs if you do that. And when I say that, I mean his legs move very quickly, but you're not necessarily getting him to lift his core or anything else. He's just going fast. So this was an intentional effort to get away from just going fast and really work on that quality of getting that inside hind leg under and working, having him working over his back and all that good stuff. So that helped a lot. I noticed at a couple things that we did recently, and so I've been implementing it at the walk, trot, and canter. I don't think any of our canter transitions, especially upwards, were great. Now he does kind of get himself together after the first few transitions and starts to really soften, and we end up with a very nice canter, but the first ones were not pretty. So yeah, you can see he brings his head up, he's super stiff, and that's something I'll probably take to our next lesson with her as well, because her whole thing is if it's not soft, it's not right. So this is me trying to be very soft and give him the opportunity to give me what I'm asking for without chasing him. So the front end I didn't love for most of our transitions, but I did notice that getting him into the outside rein, I could feel in this hind end that he was a little bit more balanced. So still things to work on, plenty of things to work on, but it's important to pick out the good things that are happening as well. And like here, he was very relaxed. and his hind end underneath him was just, it was much more engaged. I noticed the time between the transition and when he was able to soften up and kind of pull himself back together got shorter and shorter. So the transitions are what I'll be working on, and honestly, it's kind of a persisting problem. So I think now we're working on some canter pulls, bending canter pulls. So I was taking some of the things that I learned from Judy, applying them at the walk, trot, and canter, and then adding in some bending pulls, which historically have been pretty tough for us, but actually in this ride, I felt like he did these so well and so easily. I was super impressed. It's good to practice on pulls too, guys, because if you're jumping or anything like that, like you really don't have to jump your horse's legs off. You don't have to do a ton of jumping repetition. Just put poles on the ground and work on judging your distances that way, because it's just so much less compression and teaches your horse a lot of the same things, but without pounding their legs by jumping a lot. And I'm really trying to put his haunches, not necessarily get his haunches out, but just get him a little bit better lined up. Completely fumbled it. We came in at the wrong stride, and he was like, oh mom, oh no. But for these, I just really don't give him a hard time about it. I just try again. So actually, this canter transition wasn't too bad. It's one of our final ones. He just felt very relaxed and, I don't know, just not a ton of tension. And then he got it, and I was like, good job, dude. And then when I get off, you'll see me telling Pepper she did a really good job, because they were firing guns on either side of the property, which usually sends Pepper, into fear and desperation. So I told her she did a great job, and it seemed to make her happy. She never really lost her mind and had to go to the car and go to her happy place. She kind of stuck with us. So she kind of worked through that too, which was really good. And even by the end, they were still firing guns off on either side of the farm, and she was playing with me with her jolly ball. So I'd say some things to work on, but overall, definitely had some success with Secret and Pepper. And then I had to put the poles away. I did a little bit of light weightlifting is what I call it. My opportunity to do some weightlifting. And Secret, I think he likes hanging with me and all, but I also think he knows the gate shut and I'm his way out. So he's a little like, I'm going to have to stay with you because you're in charge of my exit strategy. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later. So thanks for watching.